Hey Lauren, I wanted to leave you some feedback on your rough draft for SA2. As a whole, I think things are working quite well. I feel like you have an exceptionally good draft here. Um, it is organized quite well. Um, your summary here is clear. I think that you have a good thesis statement. Um, you have a good uh, discussion of characterization here. Um, and I feel like what's woven, throughout all of your paragraphs is that idea that um, you want to explore those complex questions about humanity. Um, I like that. I like that you're following. I really like the fact that you were saying that the main character has some of the same flaws as the villains, and I feel like that connects quite well to what you're doing in this paragraph here. And I'm wondering when I was reading this that you brought up the idea of a coming of age story um, in your initial um, in your first sentence. And coming of age, usually indicates some kind of loss of innocence. And I'm wondering if the idea that, yeah, I'm wondering how that could be reinforced more throughout the paper, meaning that the idea that, we recognize that as we get older, that our parents are flawed people, just like we are, right? So a lot of times as young people, we have the tendency to maybe see our parents as um, I don't know that I want to use the word perfection, but we don't necessarily see the flaws that they have until we get a little older. And I feel like that's part of like one of those coming of age issues. So I wonder how that idea could be reinforced more in the essay. Where to do it, I'm not entirely sure. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you that the areas that to me needed the most work is the pivot from the summary to uh, the thesis and the statement of what the film attempts to do. So they're all really good independently, but in terms of them working together, I feel like that's where the gap in the logic is. So I wonder if there could be a broader paragraph about coming of age stories, or complex questions that films attempt to answer before the actual summary, right? To make these ideas that you're leading to in terms of the argument clearer for the reader. That's the primary place that I would focus. I think, other than that, there's a couple of places here and there, particularly in this paragraph. You have really good points to support your claim here. I think if you wanted to, if you're looking for places to expand, I would go back to some of these claims and think about how you might bring in details from the film to get there. I also like the idea that um, the reader doesn't get alienated by the superhero genre, and particularly that you bring that up in the thesis as well. I wonder if that's an idea to reinforce at the beginning of the paper too, like before the 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 summary. So maybe it's the idea of, those hard universal questions that people have to face as a result of coming of age is something that it's very universal. And while those occur in the superhero genre, even if you're not a superhero fan, right? Like you could still enjoy this film. So I wonder if that's kind of the idea to start with, to help hint at the thesis. In a way that doesn't feel like there's as big of a gap in between these two ideas, right? And I feel like this is what we talked about in your last paper too, that everything was working really, really well. But the place that you needed the most work was the introduction. And I don't know what else to say other than I get it. Introductions are hard. That's where I always struggle too. So my point is this. As an introductory paragraph, it ticks the boxes in that you have a clear introduction to the film, you've answered those two driving questions, but it's how to make those ideas a tad more cohesive, right? And I think maybe another paragraph before the summary is the way to get there. So that's what I would focus on for revision. But other than that, it's a really good rough draft. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.